We are going to talk about the value of life. Please forgive me for my broken English, okay? But I have to tell you, I have been studying and trying to, improve it. Me and my lovely wife, we've been getting lessons. So I hope it's a little bit better every time. I've heard a quote saying that life is either a daring adventure or it is nothing. I believe you all heard this quote before. I like it very much. It put us in a dynamic mode. It excites us to be more proactive towards life. But let me put it into a more profound perspective, this thing of the value of life. If we can put an amount, if we could define a value for life, wouldn't we, I'm asking you guys, wouldn't we be kind of endorsing slavery? Wouldn't we be kind of endorsing suicide? If life has a value different than infinite, then we allow ourselves to do things and to value things mistakenly. Does it make sense to you? If you can put a value to mothers, what's the value of, how much does it value your children? What's the value? I have a group of people that work with me, and every time I meet them and we have this kind of conversation about the value of things, I always ask, most of them are women, and I ask them, listen, what's the value of your children? For how much would you sell them? And it's across the board. Everybody says it's infinite. I wouldn't, there's no way I can measure the value of life, okay? And we'll try this morning, we'll try to build this understanding together. We'll use a constructive approach so that we can have this common understanding. So if life is a comparison, is a measurement, so if value is a measurement, we measure through comparison. So we use this way to be capable of measuring value, right? The idea, we'll use it in a sense that the more capable you are of understanding something, the more value you give to it. So for instance, if you are on the field of physics and you have been struggling with physics and trying to understand it, the laws that rule the matter, and then you find some very revolutionary new idea, it comes your way and you touch it and you read it and you understand it and you become amazed. You value that very, very, very much. And if you are if you know music and if you've studied music and some beautiful beautiful music, you hear some very beautiful music, you're capable of valuing it. The moment you hear it, you say, wow, this is something that has been done from a genius. This is amazing. But if you are ignorant, if we are closer to the beginning than to the evolution state, if we are, which is normal, it's natural, we don't know everything, right? We don't know what we don't know. But if we are on the early stages of the knowledge of any field, we are not capable of valuing the things as we would once we are more evolved. So for the brute, a symphony would sound like any noise, okay? But if you have developed your knowledge, your sensibility, then you are capable to admire and to value it a little bit more. Make sense to you guys? Okay. So the more you know about something, the more you are capable to evaluate, admire, and value it. The creation of geniuses on all fields of knowledge, being science, literature, music, they are highly valued because of the profound knowledge and ability and wisdom of their creators. Do you agree with that? I'll say it again. The creation of geniuses on all fields of life, being it science, literature, music, whatever, are highly valued for the profound knowledge, ability, and wisdom of their creators. Okay? Now we're getting to the point that I wanted to reach with you. Who created life? God created life. Right? So life is God's creation. Let's use this analogy. We were talking about the creation of geniuses and how much we value things that they create. Life is God's creation. What are the attributes? How do we consider God and His attributes? Isn't it God infinite on all His attributes, being it knowledge, ability, wisdom? Isn't it God infinite on everything? May I say that therefore, if life is God's creation, wouldn't we say that the value of life is infinite? Okay? Well, that's at least is something that we can think about it, okay? Ponder about it. Now we are going to build some other ideas behind this concept of the infinite value of life. And these days, I think it's the more the more humanity is evolving and progressing, the more we tend to value everything that we do, and the more we tend to value our incarnated experience. And the whole idea behind this is just that, to exercise our capacities in order to make the best of what we can do here on this planet. As we all know, we are spirits having a human experience and not the other way around. Okay? We are here temporarily getting this knowledge here on Sunday morning in order to be more capable, in order to get this knowledge, these capacities that can make us happier, stronger, more intense towards the things that we understand are important for us. That brings us to the point, to a discussion of the pleasures of the soul versus the pleasures of the body. The pleasures of the soul, they differ from the pleasures of the body, because the pleasures of the body, they are the same for animals and for humans. Isn't that right? It doesn't matter if you're human or if you're animal, the same sensations and everything related to those pleasures, the things that make you feel okay, feel good, are the same for humans and for animals. But the pleasures of the soul are a little bit more sophisticated. Why? Do you agree that in order to experience the pleasures of the soul, one has to have intelligence, sensibility, knowledge, effort, perseverance? So these two aspects are all the time surrounding us. And the more we value the pleasures of the body, the more earthly bound we are. And the more we value the pleasures of the soul, the more spiritually guided we are. And let me ask you a question about those two pleasures. Would you say that one pleasure has limitations and the other pleasure has no limitations? Which one would have limitation and which other one would have no limitation? Would you agree that the pleasure of the soul has infinite possibilities? The pleasures of the soul, as we just said a little while ago, we don't know what we don't know yet. The possibilities are limitless for the pleasures of the soul. But for the pleasures of the body, we know. We've been experiencing it for years, for centuries, for several reincarnations. We've been dealing with that, and we like that. We are not condemning it, just like John's initial lecture was telling us about. Everybody needed milk sometime in their life. We were there, and many of us still we are, in a sense. We need milk, okay? We are not condemning it. We are putting them into perspective. The two possibilities that we have. And why? And then, based on the Spiritist doctrine teachings, we now understand all Jesus' lessons on the gospel when he was talking about my kingdom is not from this world. We now are becoming a little more capable of comprehending what is expected from us here. Because once we value more what is to come versus what is being already at our availability, we progress. We allow ourselves to enter into more and more and more of God's wonderful treasures that He built for us. That's why we need to get this knowledge. What did we say when we started? that the more knowledge you have, the more capable you are of evaluating and value things, right? Didn't we say that? Do you agree that by means of coming and learning about the spiritual things that surround us, about the things that are there for us to conquer, by means of that, we are putting all our efforts towards the achievement of our real happiness? Does it make sense that the knowledge will help us? Didn't Jesus said? Didn't Jesus say? Didn't Jesus say? See, I'm learning. Didn't Jesus say that you will learn the truth, and the truth will set you free? Was that? So that's what we are doing here. We are kind of learning the truth and searching for our freedom. Freedom of what? Or freedom from what? When he said that, when Jesus said, you will learn the truth and the truth will set you free, is setting you free from what?
Material life.
From the material life? Yes? From the mistakes that we use on interpreting everything that is surrounding us? That's the idea. And doesn't the effort towards gaining knowledge help us in this achievement? Aren't we trying to understand the truth? And that's good for us, because we are every time learning more about our spiritual needs versus our bodily needs. So, in other words, to live is different than to be alive. Right? Say it again. To live is different than just being alive. And once we apply this idea, once this is understood and we apply it in our daily activities, our lives become much, much more intense. One of the biggest benefits that the Spiritist doctrine bring to humanity is the fact that it puts us in the driver's seat. How nice. I thought of that right now. The Spiritist doctrine, once understood, well understood, puts us on the driver's seat. We used to be, on the passenger seat. God was driving us everywhere, and we were, whatever. Let's go, okay? Let's go wherever life takes me. But now that we understand our role here, we are more excited towards getting knowledge, getting experiences, getting new acquaintances, getting everything that is surrounding us becomes more important. And not only that, through the Spiritist doctrine, we not only value our own lives, we understand the value of other people's lives. We are maturing ourselves and becoming more participant and important in this whole idea of humanity. We contribute more. We tend to be, by means of knowledge. That doesn't mean it's easy, that doesn't mean it's going to happen tomorrow, but once we have the knowledge, we are capable of applying it. And we become more compassionate. We have the possibility to be more compassionate and to help more and to learn more and to study more and to work more and to understand more. Who said that? Okay, yes, to understand more. Isn't it nice? Let's say if you have a relationship at home, somebody you love but is still drinking milk, okay? And you are, with more sophisticated kind of drinks, whatever, okay? But you understand this person, and then you avoid, once you understand, you value this relationship, you understand that this person is this individual is an evolutionary pathway, and you have, just like John mentioned earlier, and you have a little bit more light than he does. You understand that it is your duty to share this light with this person and to understand that this is a temporary thing, that everybody's going to get to know everything better and to improve the relationships. We become more tolerant, right? If we get the knowledge we need, we become more tolerant, because we needed people to be more tolerant with us when we were there, weren't we? Mm-hmm. We were there already. There is a phrase in English, a quote in English that I like so much, that I never heard that in my natural language, my native language, which is Portuguese. You Americans has this: the beauty of the eye is in the eye of the beholder. This is beautiful, huh? This is beautiful. The beauty of the eye is in the eye of the beholder. It means that the beauty of everything, the value of everything depends not in the object itself, but in the one who is observing it. You got it? Did you get it, everybody? This is beautiful. And this is very exciting, in the sense that even if you are isolated, and for several reasons, for whatever, if you are ill or if you are segregated from society or whatever happened to you, for any reason, still, if you go into this inward journey of increasing your ability to value things, to learn about things, to ponder about things, to evaluate things, then you can reach a more dense, more profound, a more meaningful life by looking at things that you've been looking but never valued. I was walking with Robbie this morning, and we were talking about how things once you pay attention, and that's going to be her lecture on Tuesday, once you pay attention to things, you tend to see things that originally you were not seeing there. But you stop a while and you look at it, at people, relationship, whatever, and you ponder for a while about it, then you start seeing things that you never knew they were there already. Sometimes we live a life that is too intense and we forget that. We need to concentrate. So valuing becomes a concept relative to the observer capacities. Okay? Sometimes when I do lecture in English, I don't know if people are understanding me. really, you know? Yeah, I'm saying things that I suppose you guys are understanding, but it's okay. You know? It's part. The beauty thing of the reincarnation is that nothing that we do here is lost. So I'm building things and creating things to myself that I know that are going to be useful for me next life. Okay? Nothing is lost. So keep doing your best. Keep doing your best effort. Let's look at the other, or the opposite side of the stick. We were talking about knowledge and how knowledge could set us free. But let's take a look at the opposite side of the stick. How about ignorance? Because we are, you know, sometimes, to get knowledge, a lot of effort, and I have to apply myself, and I have to dedicate time, and this and that, to get knowledge, right? So try ignorance. Think about ignorance. Many people think that the ignorant is happier than the knowledgeable person. Do you agree with that?
Sometimes.
No, some people say here sometimes, yes. Sometimes it's better to ignore, to not to know. As if this is an option. It is not. The Spiritist doctrine put us in the pathway towards progression. We are in a dynamic universe. To be ignorant, to avoid knowledge and experience is not on our best interest. We will achieve the true happiness, the true fulfillment, the plenitude. Is there a plenitude? 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 Plenitude.
Plenitude.
Plenitude. We will only achieve that by means of our best effort. People say there is no gain without pain. I've heard that. And I heard also that in order to obtain value things, we have to put the best effort we can. So if we are ignorant, we do not have access to the pleasures of the soul. We are limited. Actually, we are limiting ourselves. Let's put it this way, just to make us a point here. Let's say you have a business and you want to make it more profitable, and then you decide to cut costs. Does it make sense to you guys? Okay, let's cut costs. How much costs can you cut? This is a limited decision, right? cutting costs is a limited decision, is limiting. You can cut so much. But what if you are running a business and then you decide to increase sales? How much increase can you do on sales? It's almost limitless, right? You can hire more people, get more loans and this and that, and growing your business, and then you can grow and can grow and can grow and can grow. It's limitless, right? The same applies for us in the idea of limiting ourselves with the ignorance and opening the doors of knowledge. As just like we mentioned Helen Keller, life is either a daring adventure or it is nothing. So in that perspective, if we apply ourselves to knowledge, we are doing the best that we can for our own benefit. Right? So the more we learn about the laws of God, the more comprehension we have about the laws of God, the more productive lives we live. Therefore, the more capable we are of experiencing the pleasures of the soul. And the Spiritist doctrine epitomizes, that's a nice word, huh? Epitomizes. When I heard it, wow, I love it. The Spiritist doctrine epitomizes, so it puts it in the highest place, the rebirth of God as the creator of everything, as the superior intelligence that allowed life to exist. Why? By putting Him, God, back to the throne of the universe through unveiling His infinite wisdom. When up until the advent of the Spiritist doctrine, we looked at God as a being with so many characteristics that we could not understand. And sometimes we question His wisdom. Sometimes we question His goodness by looking at people, at suffering, and the things that are not the best that they could be. But with the Spiritist doctrine, we started to understand that what God wanted all the time is for us to sit on the driver's seat. And He was preparing us, and still He is, teaching us how to drive and how to, to be more responsible, to be more capable of doing the things that we need to do. And through this, now our trust in God is much more intense. We realize that everything was always okay with the universe, with our lives, and with people that are suffering, people, the gentleman, the man that was begging on John's pathway to church. And we understand that everything is all right. It doesn't mean that we accept everything as it is and we condone with the things that are happening every day on our daily moving on life. It's not that. It's much more than that. It's our comprehension on what is our role on everything that is surrounding us. How can we contribute to make it better for everybody, for ourselves, and for the ones that are on our pathway? Okay? So it is very, very important to understand and to study the Spiritist doctrine on the religious aspect by bringing our comprehension on the importance of God, its infinite capacities, the immortal condition of our souls, and through the philosophy of the Spiritist doctrine, we are capable of understanding why we are here, what are the things that are expected from us, and through the science, the Spiritist doctrine science, we finally found the endorsement from our reason to our faith. Does it make sense what I said? Does? Okay. So those three aspects. This is a revolution. How I have 5 minutes more. 5 minutes. Okay. So we are in the middle of a revolution. We don't know that. We come here on Sundays and on Tuesdays to study the Spiritist doctrine, but we should realize that we are in the middle of the revolution. We had the first revelation with Moses. We had the second revelation with Jesus. I'd say the first revelation is the revelation of God. The second revelation is the revelation of love. And the third revelation is the revelation of the Spirit, of the reincarnation. We are now, what I'd say, I dare to say, we're kind of, I'd say that we are in the revolution. It's the cybernetics of the soul. Cybernetics of the soul. Because cybernetics tells us about the communication. By means of communicating incarnated with discarnated, our societies are evolving so rapidly. Our capacities are expanding so rapidly that this is changing the world. And it's not a coincidence that the world is changing from a world of provas e expiações in English. Trials and tribulations. It's changing from a world of trials and tribulation to a regeneration world. It's not a coincidence. We were mature enough, the whole planet was mature enough for this moment. And the Spiritist doctrine is the tool through which we are going to make it happen. Is one of the tools that will help humanity make it happen. This change in the status of the planet. And what is the key word? The key word for us to value life more deeply, more intensely, the key word is reincarnation. Reincarnation changes everything. It is the key word for this revolution. Once reincarnation is understood, because it's no longer limited to the realm of religion, is no longer limited to this group of students like us, the Spiritist doctrine people. No, the reincarnation is an object of study on the academia. People are studying it everywhere in the world. The science is now putting its microscope and trying to understand reincarnation. And the reincarnation itself, only the reincarnation itself, has, as a revolution idea, has a potential to change the society deeply. Psychologically, morally, behaviorally, everything is going to be impacted by this knowledge, this profound knowledge of this concept of reincarnation. What I used to ask the group that I have on Tuesday on the studies of the Spiritist book, what if your whole life and everything that you do will be stamped on the new first page of the newspaper tomorrow? Everything that you think, you do, and everything is there. You know, you open the newspaper, oh, that's me, oh my God. How would you feel? What impacts would this have on your behavior? When you think that your kids, the ones that you love, and everybody, all society, will read you they read a newspaper every day, what moral impacts would that have for you individually? And because once we understand reincarnation and the continuity of life, on its own, the impacts on everything is going to be huge. Huge. So that's why I'm playing with the words here. We are in the middle of a real, profound, deep revolution for humanity. And the key word is reincarnation. I'd say that the Spiritist doctrine launches new light into Jesus' teachings. It is the re-engineering of the gospel. I like some new words, right? It's the re-engineering of the gospel. It puts the gospel into another frame of observation. We read the same things that we've been reading for centuries and now find new treasures that were there already, but we were not capable of understanding. And the key word, once again, is reincarnation. The Spiritist doctrine demystified the communication between incarnate and discarnate. The Spiritist doctrine makes us completely capable of understanding the continuity of life. And by means of that, we understand the infinite value of life. Well, thank you very much. That's